I had a nice note this morning from Rob McLennan in Ottawa, who did a review of these. I sent him Book of Uncertain, Book 2, this little collection, Chaos. And he posted online some really nice comments about it. So anyway, this is for you, Rob, if you happen to see it. I'm reading these poems out loud because, as I told him, my sense of poetry is that it needs to be heard. It has to be heard. There's no other way to really enter into the spell that poetry weaves if you don't enter into the vibratory field that it generates, which is what it does when you read it out loud. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. So this is the first chapter of the Book of Uncertain, Book 2, called Tropological Ontology of Uncertain Emotions. The epigraph is from M.T.C. Cronin, a fabulous, astonishing poet in Australia. The blood of every wave breaking, and how relentless that is as long as we allow the sea its talk, wherein all art is finally broken. Tropological Ontology of Uncertain Emotions. Tropos remains a matter of immaterial condensation, turns the poem against the current, tattered grimace peers between cracks in the mall's magisterial facade, mutters, glory and grace can be yours as well as that $3 Armani shirt progress delivers from tiny foreign hands to your doorstep. Away borders on leaves, seasoned with pulsion's direction, as restless negativity, not to haggle over minor inflections, but to indicate bent philosophical familiarity and Hegelian digressions through back and forth interruptions, sometime mistaken for tropological ontology's second cousin, twice removed. Here, incest reveals blurred edges lead intrepid into mansions of the night, and surprises incubation, lost in words headstrong connections, this way, that cave the river Alf pours from, where uncertain still leads it in spite of Porlockian interference patterns, universal downer. Leavings uncertain depends on disruption, a state initiated when door opens, and Thoth walks through, prepared to punch your ticket for eternity via a whale and the dream of a grave behind Lufkin's diner. Love follows, stands before the dark opening next to the river, alien fact never mentioned at the station where facts are checked, and mirror waits to receive reflected stranger among bodies of light-induced ecstasis, resembles ideas, and sudden mountain across the water marks the edge of the world. Come aside, Thoth says, consider the white whale as it breeds in uncertain zones of capacious potential behind eyes' vast stretches of interstellar systole and diastole. Matter spirit, breath leaving, arriving, leaving, the way opens, figures spill out of the blue, early March sky, over snows, sun-flecked haunch, falls away in waves. Tropos, or swept away as Duncan's world order apprehended through falling in love, a neat intertextual connection to Leaving's early thinking of Uncertain's lubricious destiny in arms' tender girths mythic encounter with newly acquired eyes yield to notions tumescent promise, whose stillness at the heart of matter remains legend. And turning remains revolutionary. Desire names its pull toward colloidal standoff, while intervening angels' hands qualify tropological ontology or merely prove the point that to labor under desire's spell means more than you can know when the door opens, sunlight pours through, and outside enters. Love's elusive knowing trails behind in probability clouds and conditions of uncertain provenance say just come aside here, and the whole thing will be clear as a bell on Sunday morning. Beautiful nostalgia, never mind the jeers, inevitable fruit of leaving veers out of and into day breaks physics-tinged reflection of queer psychic events, liminal illumination of first things to emerge. When tropos reads topos, error's blessed intervention opens exegetical adventure through turning to down, though down's indications inadequate direction in non-local quantum corners has to do for a sense of, you might say, depth, so the singing is not just turning, but toward further signs of surpassing as a matter of mirrored strangeness restores conditions the department store rendered unfit for human consumption, leaves human to ride the escalator to the basement maze's philenic foundational discount existence among ghosts deteriorating secondary qualities priced for quick sale. For those of you who don't know the first book of the Book of Uncertain, a figure named Harvey entered the poem immediately in the first book and continued to pop up as a kind of Greek chorus. a loving critical voice. Back again? Harvey asks, peering around quick sale. Returned from a jaunt through Mexico, you must be a glutton for uncertain confabulation, passes for fabricated memory, as if any other could claim prior right to your story, your Saturday morning splendor. But don't expect to find answers in the rubble accumulates in a vocabulary of uncertain origin, grasps at straws whipped by the wind. The other side of the street, he says, leads nowhere you can't imagine. Follow paths of mound-building Indians now buried beneath asphalt sock-encased earth. A brief excursus on language and music. Language neither represents, fails to represent, nor resists representation. It doesn't lust after it, pine for it, or stalk it. Never did, never will. Language could care less about representation. Language modulates sound toward meaning. Music does too, though the experience of meaning differs. Language's denotative function signifies. With no denotative function, music can't signify, though its ability to modulate a much more complex range of affective thinking through rich sonal structures means it doesn't need to. For both music and language, similar inherent elements render, specify, and amplify meaning, including pitch, tempo, tone, rhythm, and accent. Unlike language, music can layer simultaneously multiple lines of different modulated sounds, creating harmonies, disharmonies, contrapuntal rhythmic complexities, and complex symphonic structures amplify ranges of emotional intellectual information, a mode of meaning with no denotative range or dimension. You can push vocalized modulated sounding beyond signification, at which point it becomes a form of music. See the Four Horsemen. Poetry turns language signifying mechanisms into a medium, like paint or marble, open to shaping toward meaning beyond signification. Syntax, the structural mechanism of signification, like music's melodic structure, can be fragmented, distorted, deployed according to the poem's demand for the experience of total sense, sense beyond the limits of the given. It introduces a mutual instrumentalization with the one who speaks. Even as the speaker forms language's meaning into a world, language plays at the roots of mind, forming, informing, reforming the speaker's experiences of meaning. We are its instrument, even as it is ours. It plays us as we play it, to create unique meaning events that resonate beyond signification, not given but taken, shaped into a complex thinking guided by the tropological action of the soul. What gets you there at the edge of the freight dock? Dusk-bred shadows among parked forms, darkened hulks across unpassable exit. Orphaned at curb of a shadow street tugs at mind's precipice, where it taunts dark forms, hulks across from love's bitter place of knowing what's lost, transformation of birth into lingering taste of blood and grease, the cell door closing. Leaving stops at the curb, settles into stomach's pit, a hole, a chasm. The elm at the park elicits paths through blue vacancy, approximate archaeology of tropological whim. Call it cosmos. Love's promise, unfolded, twisted twigs, hieroglyphic stories of sun, rain, moon, earth, etched tips, lace burst against slate sky at edge of memory's temptation to move into a bower of Mike and Ike likes, activate simulacra of long-gone pleasures now posted daily to a simulacra of life and friends, illusory recovery gestures meant to divert empty numerical awareness from attention to hungry ghosts. Fuck you, Zuckerberg. Listen. Murmur of beneath. Doubt's shroud would dampen trees' unhinged exuberance if it could. Purple, yellow, luminous white bud burst into chill air, reeks of clarity. Light's taut flirtation with bark, brick. Doubtless, exilic exposure's memory of other exposure's resistance to treasure's precious insistence on death as daily nominative mind kick, locked into jammed-up containment units, seems almost to pulse. Pressure mounting toward revelation never arrives beyond pressure mounting. Another name for history rhymes with world. A mode of circulation brings Ginger Rogers to mind and Fred Astaire, Saturday morning fare on the new-fangled TV, along with Edmund O'Brien's spooky report of his own murder and Bob Steele's imperishable virtue constellate mystery's lucky stars counted out in ecstasies of chiaroscuro wonder, figures awakened in exile out of world. Word's strange scamper then rhymes with history. All those lives folded into mind and earth, endless compost pushes out from dead wood of winter stillness, plosive, guttural, sibilant, veined articulations, tropologically inclined doom rotation, rhymes with world. Flow block water rhymes with mind, locked distance leaves trees devoured by commerce, exuberant refrain lost to bound ears and eyes, sightless, deaf among brown broken stalks of last year, falls compacted leaves in cracks, crannies, swept away in cold rain, sketches immediate mysteries call, eerie whirl through days, vortical swirls, demand to attend euphoric chori. Perhaps angelic sex is the reason Swedenborg comes to mind over and over, galactic wastes notwithstanding. Enriched human language and legions of heavens and hells correspond in analogies of tenuous delicacy to imminent light and fire without the turgid Promethean delusion. A telluric adventure in somatic time and intuitive recollection of being time in incommensurable fullness. Tropological knowing turns and turns, leaves logos in broken vessel shards truth. Thank you for listening, if you did, and I'll be back.